Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host. And so today we are starting season 2, episode 1 of season 2, and we're talking about the dark feminine. And if you've already listened to the other episodes of the previous season, where I'm laying some groundwork with you for what Goddess Resurrection really is about, you know that it really is about you illuminating. It is about your ascension. It is about you embodying your light. It is about you building light body. Right? Because that is really the new earth. That is the new paradigm. That is my focus, my work, my offering to you. And the feminine energy is the foundation for the ascension. The feminine energy is the foundation for the healing, for the illumination, for the building of the light body. Because just to go over these things briefly with you again. The masculine energy, the left side of the brain, the left hemisphere, is all about the human, the earthly aspects, the thinking, the speaking, the language, the numbers, right? It's all about the earthly manifestation, the action, everything is external in the masculine energy. Versus the feminine energy, the right hemisphere, the right side of your brain, it is the connection to your light. It is your light. It is only able to come through the feminine energy, your light, right? So it is the opening into your soul. It is your deepening into your intuition. It is the deepening into your inner center and being, into your essence, into your eternal self, your true self. And so both, of course, masculine and feminine energies within are absolutely necessary to have this human experience. And we have been conditioned in the masculine energy. We have been deeply, deeply conditioned by the toxic masculine energy for millennia, all of us. And so now it is time, this awakening, this age of Aquarius, which we are in, it is the time of the goddess, and it is also the time to reconnect and to open up and to fortify yourself within your feminine energy. It's a big process. It's not as easy as putting on a dress and little lipstick. It's a very deep process, and this work that I'm here to support you in is not for the faint of heart. There's nothing superficial about it. This is about very deep, deep, deep soul healing, including past lives, including, shadow work, including the wounding, the healing of the wounding from this lifetime and all other lifetimes, right? And so that's basically the foundation that I want to set with you for this video. And I truly, truly encourage you to please go back, if this is really work that you're interested in, to listen to all of the other episodes that are audio episodes from the first season, because it'll help you catch up to now, as we're going to move it forward with these videos, where I will, of course, be taking you into practices, but also into conversations with other fellow goddesses, and a lot of very important informational stuff here for you. So let's see. So the dark feminine is unfortunately misunderstood. Some fear the dark feminine, others think that the dark feminine energy is it's being tough and saying no and standing up for yourself and women's rights and equal everything, and right, so that's what they think is the dark feminine, and so they're encouraging for it to be included and for it to be lived out from acceptance. The concept is correct. But technically, this information is wrong. Because when you really consider the two energies, right, the masculine energy as well as the feminine energy that we all have within, the masculine energy is subject to the ego, right? Because the ego can only hook into the human, into the earthly. The ego can only hook into the thinking. The ego can only hook into what it knows, what it's seen and felt and experienced and heard and tasted and smelled, right? The ego is fully hooked in and a part of the human, the earthly part of us, right? The duality that we're playing, right? It's the balance, the equilibrium between our divine, infinite, true selves and these earthly human characters that we're playing out. So the ego is based on the needing to protect what it knows. And what it knows has so far only been of the earthly. We can grow the ego. We do evolve the ego. We will get to that. And if somebody has lived a life or numerous lives of elevated spiritual contact, spiritual knowledge, right? Let's say the witches, the goddesses, the high priestesses, the sorceresses of us that have had many of these experiences, our ego is familiar with the other side, the true side, the true, right? Because this reality, remember, this earthly reality is just a dream. It's made up of energy, it's not even real, right? Let's keep that in mind. Nevertheless, the ego wants to protect what it knows, and it wants to protect us. So we're also going to be talking and learning about the ego and how to really properly work with it and how to understand what it's doing. Then we look at the feminine energy, and the feminine energy is just this vessel, this portal for light, the connection to the soul. And the feminine energy in and of itself, when we enter into our feminine energy, you know, she is the opening. She opens the brain to other dimensions. It's when we dimension travel. It's when we're seeing spirit, right? So maybe sometimes, you know, when people do medicine, right? Sacred medicine, when they're in ceremony, for example, or sometimes through drugs too. You know, it can be opened through drugs as well, where we actually have the opening into spirit, into deeper wisdom and higher knowledge and truth and seeing energy, seeing the grid, communicating with the higher self, traveling dimension, accessing the Akashic records, seeing portals, whatever it may be. Different things for different people will happen at different times, as there are many, many, many parts to the brain that will get opened by the feminine energy. Every soul in its own timing. And so the feminine energy in and of itself now is just pure light, because no matter how dense or wounded the person, the individual, those moments, whether they're drug-induced, whether they're medicine-induced, whether they're trance-induced or meditation-induced or whatever, just a moment of inspiration or a blessing from the heavens, those moments can happen to everybody, no matter how dense, no matter how wounded, no matter how lost. And in those moments, all of the conditioning, all of the density, all of the thinking, all of the ego just kind of like opens up. There's a moment of clarity, a moment of reprieve, a moment of freedom, a moment of knowing. And that's when we're in the feminine energy. The feminine energy is always pure. The feminine energy is always light. The feminine energy is always clear. The feminine energy is light. That's why nothing can attach to it. That's why no wounding, no conditioning, no ego nothing of the earthly can actually even hook into the feminine energy or attach to it or exist within it. And so therefore, it is very important to set this foundation right now. It is really important to understand that there is no such thing as dark feminine energy. There is no such thing as dark feminine energy. The feminine energy in and of itself is pure light versus the masculine energy, very easily subject to the ego, to the manipulation of the ego, to the confusion, to the delusion of the thinking of the thoughts. Whereas in the feminine energy, there is no thought. There is just beingness and knowing and intuition. And it just is the downloads, the inspiration, the creativity, right? It all comes through the feminine energy because it connects us to the soul, to the higher self, true self. However, so when we look at a woman, a female woman, she can be dark, right? So the dark feminine can be dark, but it's a woman. It's a woman that's not connected to her feminine energy. It's a woman that is detached and shut down to her heart, to her intuition, to her feeling capacity. Yes. So the dark feminine is a woman. I'm going to say that now. So, if you don't identify as a woman or a man and you are them, they, you also have a feminine energy and a masculine energy. That's just the way it is, right? But the feminine energy, when we're in it, when we're open to it, when we're with it, it is always, always pure, clear, strong, wise, peaceful, grounded. And it opens, and we open to our essence self more and more and more and more and more and more. Right? And that's how we heal. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. That's how we ascend. That's how we build light body. Do we need to manifest through the masculine energy? Yes, of course. Right? We're here to play both. We're here to use both. But my point is that women, or the concept of the dark feminine, is based in the masculine energy. So a woman that's not in her feminine energy is in her masculine energy. And a woman that's in her masculine energy can be anywhere from bitchy or bossy or controlling to timid and unable to speak up for herself and afraid and shy and lost and confused. A woman that's not in her feminine energy, but in her masculine energy can also, now we're going through layers and levels of dark, right? Because there's shadow, and then shadow can turn darker and darker. So, for example, a woman that is unhealed, she can act out. She can be abusive. She can be manipulative. Right? She can also be on the opposite of the scale, very needy, very, very anxiously attached, for example. But that's still all masculine energy, because that's the conditioning. That's the patterning. That's the earthly. That's the human. That's the thinking. That's the reaction. That's the trigger. That's the behavior. Right? So it's all masculine energy, even though we perceive it as emotional outburst. And it's a woman, so that's the aggressive, that's the dark feminine. But it's not. There is no such thing as dark feminine energy. There is dark feminine woman in flesh and blood. Yes, yes, of course. And a woman that's not in her feminine energy, that's very much in her masculine energy, that's very wounded and very much in her ego, that is now an invitation for more darkness, right? For stronger darkness to attach and embody. And so now she could be doing some horrible things, right? She could be, or harming children, harming animals, right? It's not that women don't do that. But already, again, that's all masculine energy as well. And so I'm not saying all of this to make the masculine energy be the bad guy, right? Because the masculine energy in and of itself is pure too, right? They're just energies. They're just energies. But the difference is that the feminine energy is the opening and the portal and the energy through which the spiritual, the light, the essence, the eternal, the truth, the power, the true power of the divine moves and expresses itself. And the masculine energy in its essence is supposed to be pure and is pure in its essence, but because it has been conditioned from and with and by the ego for millennia, right? We're really looking at a big, huge ego problem on this planet that has been deeply conditioned into our psyches, into our bodies, into our subconscious, into our outer space of our auric bodies. And so the masculine energy, even though in its essence pure and simply meant for this earthly play, this earthly experience, this earthly understanding of that we get to manifest and we get to play in this place that's a dream, and we get to play here and we get to work with energy and we get to understand energy, right? And we are here to learn and we're here to evolve and we're here to self-reflect and go within and heal and evolve and grow, right? And so the masculine energy really is supposed to help with that. And in its essence, the ultimate goal is for us to always be in our feminine energy, always be connected to self as soul, self as light, self as higher self guidance, and then to manifest it through the thoughts, through the words, through the choices, through the actions, into the earthly reality, into this earthly experience, so that we create our reality. We create, and you've heard this many, many times before, from the inside out, right? So who we are on the inside, as within, so without, as above, so below. And when we are in our feminine energy, and we are in our light, we are in our fearless heart, we are in our courage, we are in our joy, we are in our vision, right? We're connected. And so from this place, we use the masculine energy, the body, the thoughts, the words, the actions to create our lives, to make this world a better place, to be of service, to be in our mission work as a goddess, right? So goddess work in essence is to be and to learn and to remember and to reconnect to being in your feminine energy all the time. And then to consciously choose the thoughts, the words, the actions, the choices, the boundaries, the balance, lifestyle, everything. Consciously, we're choosing it consciously from the feminine energy, from our essence, from our true selves. And that's the ultimate goal, and that's where we're going to get to. But it's a journey, and it's a healing process, and it's a deepening process. You know, it's a big deal, and it is your ascension. It is how you get into your light embodiment. This is how you build light body. And so there are many, 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 many layers to the dark feminine that I want to address in the next few episodes with you here through these videos. And we're going to also be having conversation with some, lovely, very deep and illuminated and insightful other goddesses. And we're going to have a lot of fun here. And it's going to be a great time because it is a very elevating, a very inspiring conversation. It is serious. It is work. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment, a lot of devotion to yourself and your light with ups and downs. But it's worth it. And it will only make you stronger in your light. It will only strengthen you in your ability to be in your feminine energy. And to understand that vulnerability, what it really means, it's you're open to yourself. You're open to feeling and knowing all of yourself. Because when you're in your feminine energy, you cannot hide from yourself. You have to see yourself. You have to feel all of the energies that are of conflict, all of the old energies that are of resistance and fear and confusion, right? All of these old energies of wounding and pain that are still there, right? You will, from within your feminine energy, be aware of these emotions, these wounds, as well as the thought patterns that go hand in hand with them, right? The defense thinking, the aloof thinking, the I'm better than thinking, I'm less than thinking, the fear thinking, the doubt thinking, shoulda, coulda, woulda thinking, right? All of these old ways of thinking, the overly giving, the overly pleasing thinking, all masculine energy, right? Even though we associate it with feminine energy, it really isn't. It's masculine conditioning that has projected onto the feminine energy. And there are so many levels to it that are important for you to really begin to work with and understand that. So just as a quick example, and I'll go through all of these, of course, but I just want to give you an example of myself, right? Myself, where I've lived through so many lifetimes, and I've cleared and healed for decades, right? So I'm really, really, really in it. And I look at everything like nothing gets to hide from me, within me. If it is there, I want to know it. I want to see it. I want to face it. I want to talk to it. I want to touch it. I want to hug it. I want to bring it into the light. Because we're not here to continue to live out and act out the dark feminine. Because the dark feminine, I hope you're gathering by now, it's just wounding. It's just old pain. It's just old protection mechanism. It's just old coping mechanism. It's just old beliefs. It's just old conditioning, everything from within the masculine energy that has been projected onto the feminine, right? So it's not just feeling, it's not just crying, it's not just emotion, right? The feminine energy actually is the divine. The emotions are actually a part of the masculine energy. The emotions are actually a part of the conditioning of the earthly aspect. The intuition and feeling the intuition, that's feminine, right? So lots of nuances here, lots of subtle layers to it all. And time is ticking. So I'm like thinking about, how do I want to leave this with? Oh, I wanted to give you an example. That's right. So the example that I want to give to you of the dark feminine, right? We've all had experiences of our dark selves, of dark feminine acting out, living out a dark experience. So this was a lifetime that where I was loving seduction and manipulation and, you know, just totally in the ego. And it was the quick fix. It was that, you know, filling of the void, because when we're fueling the ego, when we're looking for that attention, that energy, right? Like, you know, just playing with people's hearts and emotions and, you know, manipulating just to get that energy and just to get that attention. It's insatiable. It's an insatiable void. And so that was me in one lifetime. And she was just, you know, having so much fun with it. And I wanted to bring her into the light. And she was like, oh, boring, so boring. She loves the thrill. She loved the thrill of the ego and the excitement and, you know, getting everybody into drama and revved up and, you know, messing up relationships and getting all of the attention and getting any man she wants, right? And so it took a little time. It took a little convincing. It took a little conversation with her, spending time with her, with this old dark aspect of myself, to get her to understand that we're not going to continue this because this is empty and you're fueling a void. And it is not satisfying, as you can see, right? You want more and more and more because you're never full, because you're never filled, because you're always hungry for more. And that's that insatiable part of the ego. And also look at the karma you're creating, I said to her, right? Look at all of the hurt that you're causing. And look at how much you're manipulating and how bad that is for your soul and how dark it is making your energy and how much it's closed off your heart, right? So this is all the things I'm saying to her. And she was just like, she could see it. She could see it. She was resisting though. She was resisting though. And there was pain. There was pain underneath this behavior, right? Because there was an ego satisfaction. There was an ego empowerment that was coming from acting out this way, because in the end, it's all about energy. In the end, it's all about getting that power, that energy that she was getting to satisfy her ego, even if it was just for 10 minutes. Again, trying to fill that void, that insatiable void that can never be filled if it's ego-based. And so slowly but surely, she understood as we were healing her perception on the pain that was there at the core, letting her see that, look in the light, look in this way, come here, over here, into the light. And I brought her into my light alignment, where she was able to understand that, wow, it feels so much better in the light. It feels so much more powerful in the light. It feels so much stronger and clearer and vaster and wise and beautiful and empowered and authentic in the light. And that, yes, there's so much to be gained from being in the light. Yes, there's so much more to live out. There's so much more power and joy in doing good and using it for good. And so that's where I integrated her. That's shadow work, except for that she was pretty dark. This wasn't just a little pain shadow. This was like already pretty dark. So, you know, there are layers and levels to the memory and the experience of the dark feminine, and all of this we're going to be covering in the next following episodes. So there's so much fun and good stuff to look forward to, and I hope you are going to join me here again next week. And thank you so much for your time and your energy, as I am here to share my time and my energy with you, with my mission work for the ascension of this planet and reconnecting us all into the feminine energy and her power and the truth of all of us. So from here, hugs and kisses to you and yours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ciao for now.